This is the free pattern on the website, The First Blooms of Spring, and I just wanted to give you an idea of how I did the background and the bouquet. And I also wanted to share with you how you can use the pin shapes for other things, rather than just a pin. You could take the little ABC pin and you could glue it onto just a scrap piece of wood or whatever. Or you could take the little daisy pin. So I use the bouquet pin shape, and you will get the line drawing and this. I'll put this on the website as a free download. So I'm going to use a 3/4 oval glaze brush. So I'm going to moisten the brush. I'm going to load it fully in my bleached sand. Fully load it both sides of the brush. And I'm just going to base coat. And then I'm going to tip the brush into a little bit of one of my colors that I've chosen. And this is raspberry. So I'm just going to kind of brush blend that in there like so. I'm going to tip back into my bleached sand. Again, I'm coating both sides of the brush. And then I'm going to tip into a little of my turquoise blue. You can have this as colorful as you like. To tone it down, just tip back into your bleached sand and just kind of go over it again. And just kind of slip slap, add a little bit of green in here. Crisscross motions. And I'll just kind of play with it a little bit until it pleases my eye. And then you're going to use that 3/4 oval glaze, or you can use a flat brush if you prefer. And this is burgundy wine, and I'm just going to float. You can use your mop brush if you need. So then I'm going to take burnt umber, side loaded in my brush. A little bit of a tint on that back edge here. And I might pull some down here. On the little bouquet, I filled in the flower petals with a little bit of the raspberry, and you can just thin it down with a little bit of water. And I'm using a 1/4 inch oval glaze, and just base coat the petals like so. While they're still wet, I want you to tip your brush into a little bit of that bleached sand. And you can give a little bit of a highlight there. So you would do that with all the petals. For the centers, just tip your brush into some milk chocolate and just give it a little brush over. While it's wet, tip your brush into a little bit of that bleached sand just to give it a little highlight. For the leaves and the stem, load that same brush in your Hauser light green. You could use jade green if you like, or foliage green. So give it a coat with the green, and then while it's wet, tip it into a little bit of the light. Get a little bit much on there. And you can kind of give it just a little streaky highlight down through the center, on the outer edge of the leaves. Just load your brush into a bit of the turquoise blue, and I'm just going to give it a little coat like so. While it's wet, I'm going to tip it into a little bit of the bleached sand and just give it a real casual little highlight there. So you can give your flower petals a little bit more dimension by floating a little bit of color. And I'm going to side load a 10 flat in the burgundy wine. And I'm going to float next to the center. And you want to float under this petal to really pop this petal out. Pop it forward and set that petal back. You could put a little bit of this color on some of your, couple areas on your leaves, might be kind of pretty. You can further enhance the highlight on your petals, and your leaves for that matter, by side loading a little bit of the bleached sand. I just used plantation pine. And underneath the petals you can give it a little bit of shadow in there. You can add a little bit more of a highlight down through the center of your tie if you like, with a little bit of the bleached sand. And I'm just placing a casual back-to-back flow right down through the center there. If you want, you can line the petals from the center, come down, and this is again that burgundy wine. So after you have your background the way that you want it, you can take your pattern, and what you're going to do basically is just to apply the main line of the text. Just basically go down through the center. So using thinned burnt umber and a number 1 round, I'm just going to follow the lines, pull it this way, and then pull like so. So after you go over that, you can make them a little bit darker if you like by reapplying the color. You can take your dirty brush and you can tip it into a bit of bleached sand, and then you can overstroke down through the center of the letters, but it just kind of softens up the look of your lettering. Then I just took that stylus and I added a little dot here and there. Figure out how you're going to place your flower, and if you want to add a few little vines coming out from the little bouquet, you can just kind of I'm just going to place some little polka dots on there. You can add a few little dots at the bottom of the center. I did add a little bit of sparkles through the design. This is the green, and I'm going to just stroke it through. Just going to add a little in here and maybe put a little the stem and leaves of my flower. With the red, I'm going to float it just here and there to give a little bit of sparkle to the pink petals. You can add a little down here if you want. In your pink area, your background, you can add a little bit of that sparkle. It'll be kind of pretty. It's really subtle, it's not super bright. And I added a little bit of gold here and there. You could add a little bit of gold onto your center. It gives them a little bit more sparkle. Maybe on the edges, kind of looks pretty. I would kind of just do that hit and miss though.